When you're ready, Omar.
Okay. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So in continuing discussing the book Madrasah Sahih Bukhari by Zubaydi rahimahullah, and that we started last week in the last lesson that Kitab al-Ghusl. So we have ended what he mentioned regarding al-Kitab al-Wudu, and Kitab al-Wudu pertains to matter regarding al-Tahara, al-Sugra regarding al-Wudu, and those matters that relates to Wudu. So he ended that chapter regarding al-Siwak. So all those things that he included concerning Imam Bukhari as a part of Kitab al-Wudu. So next chapter that he covers is Kitab al-Ghusl. So we discussed some of the hadith regarding concerning that he started wudu qabla al-ghusl, where Imam Bukhari, where he mentioned in this mukhtasar that started concerning with two hadith, the hadith of Aisha and also the hadith of Maymuna, both being the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, that give us some idea and insight regarding how to go about performing al-wudu, performing al-ghusl. So from both narrations that it clarifies that wudu is to be carried out when performing ghusl. But as we mentioned, that ulama have stated that wudu being a part of ghusl is not something which is wajib. It is not wajib, it's a must to be done, but it's something which is better to be done. So it is more preferred. And a few mentioned that wudu is to be done, but majority of the ulama that wudu is to be included in ghusl, but not by way of it being wajib. Then also we discussed concerning the difference between both hadiths. That the hadith of Aisha, it mentioned regarding performing wudu ثُمَّ يَتَوَضَّى كَمَا يَتَوَضَّى لِلصَّلَاةِ. That of the things to be done is that when performing al-wudu, then the person should make a complete wudu from what is apparent from the hadith, from that which is apparent from the hadith, which means that a person, then the second hadith of Maymuna, that it covers concerning ghusl being done, including wudu being done first, but also regarding wudu, that one is not to wash the legs, but or the feet, but rather them to be it to be done at the end of the ghusl. So the person perform wudu not without washing the feet. Then when the person washes his entire body. Then after he finished washing his entire body, then he'll perform wash the feet at the end. That's concerning the hadith of Maymuna. So we've discussed concerning that with this of the ulama who hold that what's the better way of those who hold that both ways are permissible. Who hold that both ways are permissible. The person performing wudu, including washing the feet, as in the hadith of Aisha, as it gives that meaning. And the second hadith of Maymuna, that a person would delay washing of the feet. So that's concerning of the ways that is allowed with some of the ulama pertaining to washing of the feet. As to which way is better, then there's a discussion between the ulama as to which of those two ways are the better way. That you'll find some of the ulama inclined toward the hadith of Maymuna, and others would incline toward the hadith of Aisha. But both ways are correct in performing wudu and performing al-ghusl. Then from the hadith we mentioned regarding concerning the hadith of, we discussed in that Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, that when he mentioned the hadith, which is the hadith of Aisha, not the hadith of Maymuna, that the hadith of Aisha also in some narration that in that it mentioned regarding thumma afada, it mentioned regarding delaying washing of the feet. Now I have some discussion regarding that narration. So you have some narration from the hadith of Aisha indicating that delaying washing of the feet, but that ziyada, that additional information, there's some discussion around it. So that's concerning of those things that are mentioned regarding. So Imam Bukhari, so in these the discussion regarding Kitab al-Ghusl, that they started by mentioning concerning, as Sheikh Al-Raji, Abdulaziz Al-Raji mentioned, that I mentioned regarding that the more akmal, the better, the more complete way of performing ghusl. So the more complete way of performing al-ghusl. So he mentioned that regarding ghusl, that there's two ways that it can be performed. One regarding concerning sifatul idza, the one which is acceptable and one which is kamal. So you have one which is acceptable with a person do the minimal acts of ghusl. Meaning the person will fulfill, carry out the compulsory components of ghusl. So with the ulama regarding what are the compulsory acts of wudu, ghusl, that they mention. Some mention a person does washing his entire body, or water being poured on his entire body, with the exclusion of madmada wa istinshaq. So water being poured on the entire or touching the entire body, then that's what some of the ulama is sufficient. Of the ulama who are all concerned that the least that can be done is the washing the entire body, but also madmada wa istinshaq, washing the nose and the mouth, according to some of the ulama. So that's concerning what is the least. Yeah, that discussion between the ulama. As for what is kamal, what is the more complete and perfect way to perform ghusl, is as mentioned, that a person that he will start by washing his hands up to the wrist 3 times. So the person will have the niyyah. So the first thing, niyyah. Second, tasmiyah, bismillah. Third, wash his hands up to the wrist. Third, wash the private area and any area that may be soiled by discharge. So that area is washed. Then the person will wash that around that area, the private area. Then also wash his testicles. So around that area. Then after that the person he'll wash, make wudu, he'll perform wudu. Complete. So with wudu, as mentioned concerning al-madmada, istinshaq, washing the face, wiping the head, doing the feet, or he can delay the feet in performing wudu. So either including the feet or delaying the feet. Then he'll pour water after the making wudu. Then he'll pour water 3 times on his head. So as he get his head, get to the root of the head. So like 3 hands full of water it'll be poured onto the head of the person. Then he'll wash from the right side first, then his left side. So I said from the right concerning including his head. So the person will wash his head again, and the entire body will be washed right first, and then the left side of the body. Of the ulama mentioned that to be done 3 times. Also 3 times regarding that matter. So that's concerning performing wudu or ghusl in a complete way. Performing. Then if the person did not delay doing the feet in wudu, then the end, then he'll wash his feet. So the end, he'll wash his feet. So that's concerning ghusl. In that manner will be the complete manner. واضح? Then so regarding concerning that, so that's concerning, so ghusl is an act that is required when concerning a person with hadith al-akbar. So ghusl is required concerning hadith al-akbar, the person's state of major impurity. So if a person in hadith al-asghar, minor impurity, is not required to perform ghusl. So the person in a state of where hadith al-asghar, the person of minor impurity, he performs wudu. And it's not the way of the Prophet ﷺ that you perform ghusl for hadith al-asghar. Only in the case of hadith al-akbar, in major impurities, then it is required to perform ghusl. Then so that's concerning that matter. So also regarding al-ghusl, at times it is compulsory that a person has to perform ghusl, is wajib, and at times it is mustahab. So after those times it is wajib, regarding concerning that you have one which is agreed upon, regarding it being wajib to perform ghusl, and it will be cases concerning al-janaba, because of sexual involvement, sexual acts, intimacy between a male and female. So that's concerning that. Then also case will be wajib regarding for a woman after ending her menstrual cycle, the end of her cycle. And then also regarding concerning al-ghusl also will be performed also concerning nifas, regarding that after child bleeding. So after she have given birth, and she'll have a discharge bleeding, when that it can last up to 40 days or more or less. But whenever time that it stops, even before 40 days, for her, it stopped 20 days after childbirth. Then she performed ghusl and then she functioned as normal. So that's concerning. So of those ones, it is agreed upon that ghusl is required. Or concerning the person might have, where they said the wet dream, where the person have an actual discharge, and it's actually evident that there is discharge, then the person in that case also will perform ghusl of janabah. So those ones are agreed upon. Of those ones, they are said to be wajib, but it is mukhtalifun fi. There's a discussion between the ulama regarding, for example, ghusl for the reason of Yawm al-Jummah. So ghusl Yawm al-Jummah, is it wajib or not wajib? Now, so you have a discussion between the ulama. Those of the ulama who take the view that ghusl Yawm al-Jummah wajib. Ghusl Yawm al-Jummah haqqun. So of the ulama who mentioning concerning that ghusl Yawm al-Jummah, that are ordered to be wajib. And others who hold to something which is mustahab, prefer to be done, but not to the extent of being wajib, a must to be done. So you have that discussion also for Yawm al-Eid, then it is something which is mustahab. So regarding Yawm al-Eid, it is mustahab to perform ghusl, and other occasions. So that's concerning that matter. So with that, inshallah, we go to the chapter that follows.
What is it? Is it wajib for al-ghusl al-mayt?
In the case of concerned that al-ghusl may also be of those one which is wajib. So we're concerned that in sense that to be carried out on the meat. So it is wajib that a Muslim have died, then it is wajib for them to be ghusl to be performed upon them. So that's concerning of those cases which is wajib. Of those cases that is also wajib. So that's concerning, as we mentioned, at times ghusl is wajib, and at times it is mustahab to be done. And we'll clarify some examples regarding those cases. So with that, inshallah ta'ala, then we go to the chapter that follows, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala.
Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Qala ma'allif, rahimahullah. Chapter 2, taking a bath by a man along with his wife. Hadith number 187, narrated by Aisha radiyallahu anha. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam and I used to take a bath from a single pot called al-farq.
Faraq, you have both pronunciation is, as they mentioned, jaiz. So you have faraq, faraqa, or farq with ra.
Faraqa.
So you have both of them are allowed. Both pronunciations are allowed. So they mentioned regarding concerning so the author, rahimahullah, that he mentioned regarding of the chapter that comes next, or the kitab or bab ghusl ar-rajul ma ibrati. So regarding concerning that, a man washing or performing ghusl with his wife. So it's not concerned the normal. So it's concerned in the case concerning ghusl, in the case concerning that janaba. So in the case of janaba, is it? So they discuss concerning that the heading that of the ulama mentioned concerning here, that is Imam Bukhari. This heading is hukm ghusl ar-rajul ma imrati. What's the hukum? So it's like what's the ruling pertaining to the premise? Is it allowed for a man to wash with his wife? Now, so what's the hukum on this? Of those who understand that this tabweeb, meaning concerning that bayan jawaz ghusl ar-rajul ma imrati. Now, so it is, some of the ulama take it as this chapter heading by Bukhari rahimahullah is to clarify the permissibility of a man taking ghusl with his wife. Taking a ghusl with his wife. Then he mentioned hadith of Aisha anha regarding concern that قالت كنت اغتسل أنا والنبي عليه السلام من إناء واحد الحديث. So he mentioned the hadith that shows that there's a degree of from this hadith a degree of permissibility. Nam. So after the ulama mentioned concerning that كنت اغتسل أنا والنبي عليه السلام. Is it to be taken that they were taking the bath together, or to be understood one went first and the other went immediately after the other? So one after the other, which in a sense you have that discussion from what seems to mention here more so that they were doing so together. Now they were doing it together, and mention min inahin wahid. So ina, that from one container together. And so that's concerning that matter. So from that, they mentioned regarding concerning that from this, that at-Tirmidhi rahimahullah, that ulama concerning bayan jawaz of the ulama who mentioned is something which is jaiz, that a man, a husband and his wife, that they can perform ghusl together at the same time. So in our days, we'll be concerned that they're in the bath together, under the showers together. That is permissible. Then from this, At-Tirmidhi rahimahullah, he mentioned, هو قول عامة الفقهاء أن لا بأس أن يغتسل الرجل والمرأة من إناء واحد. So At-Tirmidhi rahimahullah, that he mentioned that's the view of the Amatul Fuqaha. So concerned that majority of the Fuqaha, that they give a permissibility that a husband and wife, that they can wash together from the same vessel or together. At that time that they will wash, they will use concerning wash, using concerning some form of container or bucket. So they should mention that, that you find that of those who contradict that view, take a position, they said, it is narrated from Abu Hurairah anhu, regarding concerning that, he held a view that is not permissible. So Abu Hurairah anhu, that he took the view that it is, نهى أن يغتسل المرأة والرجل من إناء واحد. So Abu Hurairah anhu, of the Sahaba, that took the view that it is not permissible for a husband and wife to wash together at the same time. It is not permissible. And that hadith in the Ibn Abi Shayba with an authentic isnad, but the hadith kind of somewhat goes against this. Then also you find also another narration Abu Hurairah that give permissibility. So you find another narration upon him regarding concerning permissibility regarding that matter, as I mentioned, لا بأس أن يغتسل الرجل والمرأة من إناء واحد. So the view that is more correct is regarding concerning the view that the permissibility for a husband and wife to wash together regarding janaba. Another discussion from this leads to concern that some of the ulama, they take a view regarding that husband and wife washing together. Concern, they mention concern that the water musta'mal, that water is somewhat used. Now, in the sense of another person using the same water that you are using to take ghusl for tahara. So you have that discussion between the ulama, is it permissible that some ulama, if you use the water and you and your wife, so you put your hand, she put in her hand, she wash herself, so the same water that is being used and also of your water falling into her, into the same water that she's using, they said another person water being used to purify another person. From this, it shows the permissibility. Now, because some narration mentions, she will put her hands in and he will come after. So it shows that both of them washing from the same vessel and using it together, and they purify each other from that based upon the hadith. So it shows that that type of water used by husband and wife, that is considered to be still tahir. It is still pure and not najis. So another person using the water after or alongside with you, and water going, and that water is still considered to be tahir, is still considered to be pure. Mashi? Hey, that was your question?
No.
Okay. Then of the next matter discussed between the ulama, that a matter regarding is it allowed for a man to expose himself in front of his wife? So from the hadith, then that's the meaning that is understood. That in taking al-ghusl, then both will be unclothed. Now we have a young boy. So both will be without wearing clothing. Now, so that's concerning that matter. So it shows that that's the apparent meaning regarding that they'll expose themselves in front of each other. So it shows that a husband can expose himself to his wife and vice versa. Even though he found ulama who mention it is not permissible. And some mention that the wife can look at the husband should look at his wife. Or it is dislike for one over the other. But the hadith showed a permissibility that in general, both are allowed to see each other. Both are allowed to see each other without clothing. So that's concerning of those points. So the shahid from the hadith, it kind of somewhat corresponds with the mention concern that both husband and wife taking ghusl together. Both husband and wife taking ghusl together. And by extension, if one was to assist the other, then also that is jaiz. Then if a wife, she was to help and assist her husband, meaning, for example, he wash her and she wash him, then that's also jaiz. And also it shows regarding the dimension regarding al-faraq, regarding the amount of water that is used, that a form that mentioned, it is mentioned, a form to show that conserving water, conserving the use of water between when taking ghusl. So those are those things. So it shows the permissibility, jawaz, that a husband and wife can wash together. So by concerning for the purpose of ghusl, it's allowed, and also outside ghusl. Aywa, we'll stop here inshallah ta'ala. I will just go for a few minutes after that, and then we call it a day.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
7 o'clock.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
We'll just go for a few minutes, then we'll just end, and then
طيب.
because by the time
Next
Salat.
hadith.
Now we'll just wait, because the next hadith are two hadith.
No.
So it was just kind of somewhat. So regarding concern, I mentioned regarding concern the matter regarding a male husband and wife looking at each other regarding without clothing, naked. That they mentioned that by this hadith it's kind of somewhat indicating the permissibility of this, because they've taken of ghusl, then they will be naked. So regarding concern husband, so that's concerning, and to be far-fetched to believe that one of them or both of them will be dressed in taking ghusl. That's a bit far-fetched regarding that they will be dressed in performing ghusl or wearing some form of clothing. They mentioned regarding that, that from this hadith you find the likes of Ibn Hazm from the Zahiriyah, that all concerning jawaz and nadar al-zawjayn ila farj al-akhar, that a permissibility for both husband and wife to see each other private parts. So that is something that for them to look at each other, even concerning their private areas, then this is something which is allowed. And also Ibn Battal that mentioned ijma' alayh, that is something which is somewhat agreed upon. But you find that of the ahnaf that mentioned that amongst the Hanafi they mentioned yajuz wa awla tarku, that I mentioned it is something which is permissible regarding a husband and wife looking at each other, but it is something which is better for them not to do so. That's so they mentioned it is permissible, yajuz wal awla tarku, but it is preferred for them not to do so. As for the Malikiyya wa Hanabila, they have qawlan amongst the Hanafi and the Malikiyya and the Hanabila regarding a husband and wife looking at each other. They have of time they will say karaha, and at times they say ibaha. So at times it is disliked, and at times they will mention it is mubah. Then you mention the Shafi'iyya, they all yakra, that they order something which is disliked to be done, wa anhum yuhram, and at times it is forbidden. Then I mentioned that so you have different views. And a third view, it is dislike for the woman to look at her husband, and it is haram for the husband to look at his wife. So those are the aqwal regarding that matter. So overall concern, the qawl concerning that the view regarding it is permissible without any form of dislike, it being disliked, or any other restrictions. Then a husband seeing his wife, then it's something which is jaiz, something which is permissible. So that inshallah ta'ala we'll end this discussion, and we'll continue next week. But the problem that we're having is that the time for salat is coming forward from the time that we start. So either we start, but for some people it may be difficult.
I think the further it goes on, we just.
Because the next month then the time change, change, isn't it? Which October? That's what, 5 weeks from? Usually end of October, so 5 weeks from now. So either to start after, gonna be rough for some, and to start earlier is gonna be rough.
Whoever's manasib, we can.
The best is we 6.
If
but
we start
you,
at 6, we're going to stop anyway because it's going to be.
Yeah, once I stop, we'll say, and start at 6 and we'll go up until Salat. You know, so we'll start 6 and go until Salah. Then after the time change, then we can then go back to normal 6:30.
Okay. All right.
And that will be just for me about a few weeks. We're going at 6 for a few weeks, seeing the situation.
Okay. Saraj will set up anyway.
Hey, Tayyib. So we try and shout Allah for 6, start from next week and see how things run. Wabillahi ta'ala tawfiq.